guys, welcome back. So as I mentioned last time, today I really want to focus on this watery area behind me just out front of my home. And as you know, I have done a lot of work on this whole island, but I haven't really touched this lake, other than to add some netherrack around my nether island, and this is not exactly my best work, and it is definitely one of the things I want to improve today. However, there are other things we need to sort out first. The very first of which is the fact that we need to set up a conduit. Obviously, having one will generally make this project a lot easier, but it will also be nice to just generally have one, so I want to make it a little bit more of a feature instead of just setting up a basic conduit to then tear down later. And I think I want to set it up down here. I have always loved this giant pit, but I've never really known what to do with it, and I think it's the perfect place to put our conduit. I think that should do the trick. It's a pretty simple design really, but I really liked the idea of it being this sort of lost shrine at the bottom of the lake that has slowly started to be swallowed by the surrounding landscape. And it will definitely need some more details, maybe some kelp and sea pickles and seagrass, but we'll get to that because those small details will come later. First, we need to do some mild terraforming. Like I said, I absolutely love this pit, ditch, whatever you want to call it, and I generally really like the shape of this area, but there are a couple of places where I think it could be improved. Mainly, I would like it to be a little bit more visible from our fishing dock. As you can see, it's currently pretty well hidden behind this little hill, so I think our next task is to do a little bit of shaping to get this looking the way we want it to. So, like I said, the main thing I want to do with this is take this section of the hill down so it can stop being such an obstruction in the water. I was originally going to cut this quite flat, but then I decided a slightly curved look would probably look better and make for a nicer shape. And boy, this hill was a lot bigger than I expected, although it was a lot easier once I actually built the beacon for haste to make this a lot quicker to take down. The other thing I wanted to mention is, as you know, I usually plan my builds in creative first because I find it a lot easier to work with, but I did not plan any of this terrain out, so I'm pretty much doing it freehand, which is both fun and also kind of terrifying, but let's take a proper look. Now that is looking so much better. I mean, it still looks like a bit of a mess, but we'll fix that up in a minute. This stage was pretty much just about trying to get that shape right, and I think this is looking pretty good. Oh, hello. You interrupting me. Thank you, goodbye. Where was I? So we still can't see a huge amount of this from our dock, but that's now mostly because of the water itself rather than anything actually getting in the way. And as you can see, once you're underwater, the overall landscape is much more open, which is exactly what I was looking for. But like I said, it is still looking a little bit of a mess. So let's get that fixed and give this place a proper texture instead of all this stone. Now this is really starting to come together nicely. I was originally thinking about maybe having some dirt or clay patches, but the sand just makes everything look so clean and nice that I ended up just going with the sand, and I think it was the right choice. Although I did end up having to put a pretty decent dent into my sand reserves, but that's okay. I can always go and mine some more. So now we've got our nice sandy base, there are two more things I think I want to sort out. And the first is this netherrack that I mentioned at the start of the video. So way back when I first made this nether island, I liked the idea of the netherrack spreading out like a bit of an infection, trying to claim more of the area around our nether island. And I did that by trying to dot these netherrack in the floor, and while I still really like the idea, the execution isn't exactly brilliant. So I think it's time I gave this nethery infection another shot. That looks so much better. Oh, I love it. I mean, the gradient I ended up with was possibly a little bit big. I think it has like 5 blocks between the netherrack and the sand, but I think it turned out really, really well. I mean, there are a couple of places where I should probably go back and use a 4-sided wood block like right there instead of using the log, but it's not a huge issue, so I'll probably just leave it for now, and then if it continues to annoy me, then I'll just go around and fix them up really quickly. But I just love the way that now instead of just kind of random netherrack blocks, we have this very nice, what feels kind of like tendrils of nethery infection seeping out into the surrounding ground. This is pretty much exactly what I had in mind all those years ago when I first made this, and I think it's now actually kind of fully realised, which is frankly a fantastic feeling. However, there is still one more important thing we need to do, which is we need to add some actual details. I mean, nothing huge, but we definitely need some seagrass and pickles, maybe some lichen and the occasional coral fan. I'm not entirely sure, but just some little things to make this place feel a bit more natural and lived in, because at the moment, especially when you look this way, it feels quite artificial, whereas if you look up there when it's got some pickles and seagrass, it all just looks a bit nicer. So let's hope we can add these details and really bring this place to life. Would you just look at this place? It looks so different from what it looked like at the start of this episode. I mean, just as a reminder, this is what we started at today. And now this place doesn't feel boring or messy or sterile or anything like that. It all feels so alive and vibrant and, I mean, even I go so far as to say pretty. I'm just so happy with how this has all come out. And I did end up not using any kelp because it grows really high and I didn't want it to overpower anything, but I think this is all working just so brilliantly, and it is so much nicer to look at, and we don't have to worry about drowning when we're swimming around, and oh man, it is just such a nice feeling to have this place looking so bright and colourful. I love this so much. However, I think I am going to have to leave this episode here. It was a little bit different from usual with all the various stages of the project, but I hope it was fun and a nice change from my more usual style. And there are still a couple of small things I want to do with this area, but I don't know if we'll get to that next time or if we'll tackle something else, so I guess we'll just have to wait and see what happens. So, until then, thank you guys for watching, I hope you have a great day, and I'll see you next time. Bye!